I was sent here to help the world be a better place. That is why I do what I do.
Hello, welcome back to my YouTube channel, and in this episode I am taking you to the movies. Yes, it's officially the summer of Superman. He has returned to the theaters, raking in about $56.5 million on his opening day at the US box office alone. It's also recorded $123 million at the domestic box office, regarding or grossing higher than any first film Superman franchise ever, and this is a high record for the new movie. Now, as I speak, the numbers are still reeling in, but as at the first weekend, it means that the new Superman 2025 has grossed over $217 million globally. This means that within the first 48 hours alone, the movie, which originally has a budget of about $225 million, has grossed about 96% of its original budget. And of course, the records are still being broken. Now, this makes it DC's biggest premiere since the premiere of Matt Reeves' The Batman. But we all have one question on our minds, despite the fact that this is really exciting and this is the beginning of the new DC cinematic universe started by James Gunn. We have a question really, and our question is simple. Did writer, director and co-CEO of DCU Studios, James Gunn, cook with this one? The answer after this break. Welcome back. Now, before we get started, a reminder that this video is proudly sponsored by Spencer Graphics, and they say in terms of any material that you need, creative artworks, they are here for you. So if you need logo designs, letterheads, business cards, corporate folders, barcode generator, calendars, video editing, videography, flyers, posters, brochures, social media art, anything that you need, be it of especially of commercial value, Spencer Graphics is here for you. And if you're in Ghana, West Africa, or if you're watching this from Ghana, West Africa, I recommend them to you. You can call them via 055 079 5410, 055 079 5410, and they'll do a good job for you. It's also brought to you by the voice-over people who are serving you with great voice acting, radio jingles and narration services. You know, for whatever business that you have, it's very necessary that you always leave a good first impression. You enhance your brand identity and you also get your brand out there. That's why you need the great voices that can work these things for you in terms of jingles, in terms of narration or announcing at your event and others. They help you to put your event in shape. Do patronize the voiceover people via 0503 457 738. So you may be having a gaming sessions, you may be having animated movies and others. These are voices that are also available to you. Do check them out. Okay, so that's it. Let's talk about the main agenda for today, shall we? So the character of Superman has been in the media landscape for such a long time, journeying from radio to television. It's now available in games, originally of course in comic books, one of the first and foremost superheroes in the world, and as far as science fiction is concerned, and in fact one of the most iconic logos across the world is the Superman logo. So a lot of us know a lot about this particular character, being around for over 87 years and counting. So that is quite a feat and still relevant on whichever planet you find yourself, or whichever continent, let me correct myself, that you find yourself. The Superman logo and the Superman ethos, the myth of Superman and its agenda is quite strong on that front. And the 2025 movie is the latest rendition of the movie of Superman, or of the story of Superman by James Gunn. And this begins the DCU, the DC Cinematic Universe, which was originally helmed by Zack Snyder previously, serving us with the Man of Steel movie in 2013, which was then heralded under the banner of the DCEU, the DC Extended Universe. Now, this one is quite interesting, or this latest rendition is quite interesting, because fans have been waiting for over 2 years now since the slate was originally announced in January 2023 of the new DCU. And this begins a whole new world of heroes under the DC banner. I'm a big DC fan, and so certainly it's exciting for me to be reviewing this with you today. And one thing you notice this year with regards to this Superman movie is that for comic book fans out there, for people that follow superhero movies, this is one of the most marketed movies of our time. I mean, $100 million dedicated to marketing alone, global campaign across the across stores, across social media, everywhere you go, you see Superman stuff there. And it reminds us of the Batmania that occurred in 1989 when Michael Keaton's first Batman movie came out. It was virtually everywhere.
1989 is not only just the most successful movie that year, but that bat symbol is everywhere. You can't buy blank t-shirts to print on because every black blank t-shirt has already been committed somewhere.
Fans of Philadelphia can line up for Batman dues.
A whole catalog of Batman memorabilia. In fact, there is even a 1-800-BATMAN number in here to get your merchandise to you faster.
The adventures of the Caped Crusader are fueling a $400 million industry that's growing by 25% each year.
So in the same spirit, there's been, following up to this movie, there's been Superman everything flooding stores across the globe with the Superman pens, Superman toys, Superman perfume, lots of Superman stuff all over the place, and it's really exciting. And for this newer generation, this is quite a first that we are having, that kind of aura surrounding this. And it's really exciting once again that for newer generations, they get to meet David Corenswet, or they get to meet Superman through this rendition. So in the opening weekend, obviously lots of fans across the world couldn't wait to get their hands, or get their eyes, if I could say appropriately, on this very new movie. And right here in Ghana, West Africa, of course, we went late to the trend. Many people thronged the Silverbird cinemas in Accra to see how this latest rendition of their favorite superhero was being told. A whole 5 was flooded. You could see lots of people trying to get in when after 7 p.m. on 11 July, the movies has not still started showing. Many people wanted to see how this went. So was it any good? Here's my review. Now, it's powerful, it's fresh, it's exciting, definitely offers a lot of hope. And like I mentioned earlier, James Gunn had one task. The DCU was quite convoluted. We had so many storylines across TV, the giant screen, and games and others. His job was to restore hope to a franchise that seemed to be dying. I mean, many people, including myself, are big Zack Snyder fans, but let's be fair, let's be honest. It had quite divisive reviews. The fans, in terms of the world global box office, weren't just coming in, weren't getting as many returns as possible. The DC wasn't as sexy as, if you want to, term it as such. Superman 2025 had a lot of tasks riding on it, and I can't say for a fact that James Gunn has delivered on that front. So it's funny, it's action-packed with a lot of heart. And the great thing is, if you are in for heavy action scenes and, death-defying matters, you would like this one. But in fact, you may even like Man of Steel, which was Zack Snyder's own, far better, because this movie just breaks down the character of who Clark Kent is, what his duty is to Earth, and who he is really as a man. The Superman element of this movie doesn't have to do with his physique per se, but what makes him a man, what he thinks, how does his ego work, what exactly does he do that relates to the average human being, and him being super in terms of our emotions, in terms of our actions, that compared to that of the action. But of course, don't get me wrong, in terms of the action scenes, it delivers with our kaiju fight scene, with, of course, henchman Lex Luthor and his henchmen being up to the usual bad, and of course a very big bad revealed at the end in the person of Ultraman. That will surprise many fans out there. It puts the 1978 original Christopher Reeve Superman in a modern setting. Now, don't get me wrong, as a fanboy, I as much as the next guy enjoyed the 1978 Christopher Reeve movie, but after over 40 years, that movie has aged, and there are lots of themes in the world that movie hasn't caught up to, at least in terms of effects and others. If you watch the 2025 Superman movie, you get that feel of the original Christopher Reeve movie, which James Gunn mentioned that inspired this particular one. You remember that Bryan Singer trying to capture the heart of that with Superman Returns, but this is successfully done, and in a way that definitely, even if you are of the older age bracket, you would appreciate the storytelling, and it has one of the best opening scenes ever that you may have seen in any Superman movie ever as well. The MVPs for me in this movie are actually three, and they are, aside Superman himself, of course, we have Crypto the dog, which had so many doubts originally with people coming in as to whether the not adopting the typical strong buffish dog was the one you could use for this one. Crypto dominates. Mr. Terrific is the discovery and session of the internet right now, the toast of all that have enjoyed this movie, and of course our very own Jimmy Olsen, Superman's pal, who does quite a few interesting feats in this one. These guys shine, and they steal almost every scene in which they are with this one. So Nicholas Hoult is amazing, guys. You need to see Nicholas Hoult in this one. And for many of us, Superman fans across the globe, it's been a bit disappointing on the big screen, because even ever since we had Gene Hackman, and even with the Gene Hackman's portrayal of Lex Luthor, there was a bit of craziness, there was a bit of outlandish traits that the modern audience may not be able to relate per se with Lex Luthor. For modern audiences, our Lex Luthor is the Lex Luthor portrayed by Michael Rosenbaum in the Smallville series growing up. And for the first time, we have the closest representation to that in the portrayal given to us by Nicholas Hoult. And Nicholas Hoult, by the way, is one of this generation's most underrated actors. He bodies every role that he takes, from Mad Max Fury Road to every single movie that he's been in since then. And he does so with this one. You feel virtually like this Smallville season 11, but taken up a notch. And the performance is so intense. The hatred for Superman and all he represents, the alien elements of that kind of discrimination, is so arguably nicely portrayed in this one by Nicholas Hoult. And I dare say, for me, he is the best Lex Luthor interpretation we've had so far. The filmography of this movie is just so excellent. And sometimes when you watch these kind of movies that are comic book world, that are that worldly, that are fantastical in their nature, it's hard to root for these characters, because people are having lots of superhero fatigue nowadays. But with James Gunn's writing, we have 3 acts of the play. We have the first act, the second act, and the third act. And throughout all these, without even mentioning, without any signs or any force to you have yourself rooting for the character that is Superman in this movie. David Corenswet is Superman, and well, initially many of us fanboys wanted David Corenswet to play the character, and not only because he bears some resemblance to Henry Cavill, who is our previous Superman actor, but there is a certain naivety, a certain innocence, a certain boyish charm that he brings to the character, and you just want to root for him to get the bad guys and of course save the world. Now, Rachel Brosnahan as Lois Lane is super amazing as well. You get the whole Mrs. Maisel, the wonderful, marvelous Mrs. Maisel elements and spirits coming through in the character. She is inquisitive, she is strong, and she is the greatest partner that our Superman can find, and definitely she does well in this one. You should just see her in her acts. She's marvelous. The entire cast are marvelous in their duties. They are all wonderful in their duties. I can't leave one out of another. They've all done really well, but the real heroes of this movie are the VFX team. And in fact, it would take, I don't know if you had no idea, you may virtually not believe that Crypto in this movie is actually a VFX character, because they get his mannerisms so right. The show or the parts of the film that are otherworldly are perfectly animated. The effects are on point, and of course this speaks to James Gunn filmography, having completed the initial phase of the movie, a whole year to get the VFX team to get time to work on the effects and everything. And it shows in the movie in how colorful it is, in how realistic it seems, even though this is an otherworldly storytelling thing that we are doing here. James Gunn partners again with Henry Brown, who he's previously worked with on some of the Guardians films and the Suicide Squad that he did previously for DC. It's amazing how they're able to get the shots of, you know, Superman flying. Sometimes the camera cannot even keep up with the level of speed, or at least so it seems. Anytime that we get the full chest logo of Superman on screen, it is, you know, very exciting. It gets his audience cheering, and this was a movie that was truly made for the ultimate IMAX experience. In virtually 10% of the movie, you see the interview, that popular interview between Lois Lane and Clark, or in this case Superman, and it's not the first time that we've seen Superman being interviewed on screen by Lois Lane, but this is by far the most realistic one. If you watch the 1978 one, as a journalist I can relate, because the 1978 one was good, and I mean it's iconic and all, but it lacked a lot of reality. I mean, Lois was virtually flirting with Clark or Superman.
Are you married?
No, I'm not.
Do you have a girlfriend?
No, I don't, but, if I did, Miss Lane, you'd be the first to know about it.
But in the 2025 one, Lois, yes, she's enamored, she's in love with Clark and the personality of Superman, but she asks very hard-hitting questions that even Clark is taken aback or is even surprised by how well she asks the questions, and how she refers to global geopolitics, and how someone needs to question the deeds of Superman, especially since he's wearing the blue, the red, the colors that traditionally associated with the American people.
Seemingly acting as a representative of the United States.
So for a comic book movie, I'm glad that this part of it is served, because, you know, Superman is such a universal character that there are even real life lessons that come out of this particular movie. That, for instance, doing good is not, you know, as seen in the traditional settings or in the fairy tales where you just do something you think is right and you just move on. Doing good has consequences as well, and that is perfectly shown in the script by James Gunn and the masterful cast that helps to bring the story to life. 2, people can turn back on you regardless of how, you know, perfect you are or how much you serve society. All you need is just one flaw, and people can turn back on you. Now, this is a universal theme reflected across many cultures, and in this movie it comes back to it that one of the biggest villains we have in our modern day setting is social media, because many people, including people that are actually doing the right by the world, be you in politics, be you in journalism, be you in construction, be you in any kind of medium, if you are trying too hard to please social media, you may fall off, because you can't please everyone per se. And it's an interesting way in which this story is told, because James Gunn himself has been a victim of social media. You recall that when he was working on the Guardians movie back in 2018, he had to be taken off when some people brought, you know, previous toxic messages that he has shared. And it's interesting how he represents such social media trolls and people behind it in this movie. I won't spoil it for you, but if you have seen it, you've seen that he has quite a creative way of addressing this. And in fact, it's one thing that the last son of Krypton deals with in this movie as well, trying to convince the people that he's saving that he's out there to do the right thing. Social media and its impact. The final part, or in terms of realistic lessons that we get from this movie, is that relationships require work. Now, in most of our recent superhero movies or science fiction movies, it's become a little formulaic, where the hero just comes in, swoops in, you know, saves the day, damsel in distress, and, you know, everything is clear. In this movie, actually, Lois Lane doesn't need any saving. In fact, if there is anything to do, she does the saving. She's very proactive. But beyond everything, the relationship between Lois and Clark is not a fixed one. It's not necessarily a googly eyes, love at first sight kind of situation. It's something that requires work and that both parties are trying to get to. Lois is the strong, independent woman who doesn't even necessarily need a man in his life. How much more Superman? She's working at that part of herself, and Superman is also working on his ego, his own low-key misogyny, and understanding how to support a strong woman. That dynamism, as shown in James Gunn's Superman 2025, is beautiful to watch and is quite updated, you know, for the real-world audiences. There are a lot you can relate to and learn from that relationship. So let's talk about my rating overall of this, you know, blockbuster movie experience. It's a great movie, definitely recommend for anyone, and it has a high rewatchable value. I mean, just like the characters in Johan Paul keep shouting out or keep screaming for Superman, you would be the same after watching this movie, and it restores hope in the DC storytelling and DC comics, and we can't wait to see what next James Gunn has up his sleeve. And definitely my own rating out of 10, I'll give this a 7.6. It's a great movie, yes, but it's not conclusive. You end up wanting more. There's a lot more that we are hoping to see in this new DC cinematic universe. But as far as introductions go, this is a great 2-hour trailer to the grand DC cinematic universe, in which we know that metahumans or superpowered characters have been around for over 3 centuries already. At the end of the movie, just like the popular comic series Kingdom Come, Superman justifies himself among all other heroes why he is the OG and why he is one of the best performing and most famous and most iconic superheroes of all time. So yes, James Gunn has cooked, and we can't wait to see what he does next. Lots of cameos in this one, and lots of great performances, lots of introductions to new characters, and a world that we can't wait to see more of. So have you seen it yet? What are your thoughts? Do want to share with me in the comment section below. Thank you so much for enjoying this video. My name has been PSC Nana-Yaw. Share, like, subscribe, and see you next time.